They think the kettle doesn't listen, but she does. Every morning at 6:15, she hears the shuffle of feet on tile, the sigh before the first coffee, the argument that starts with "you always" and ends with a door closing too hard. She collects it all. Steam rises, secrets float. She remembers everything. The kitchen smells like burnt toast and regret. Morning light slices through the window, catching dust particles that dance like they have somewhere to be. The toaster sits on the counter, silent and judgmental. "You're doing it again," he says. The kettle bubbles softly. "Doing what?" "Listening. I'm a kettle. I boil water. What else should I do?" The toaster glows faintly, warming nothing. "You could mind your own business." She laughs. It sounds like a low whistle. "Business? We're kitchen appliances. We don't have business. We have routines." The fridge hums in the corner, a low frequency of disapproval. The blender sits unplugged, still sticky from yesterday's smoothie disaster. No one cleaned him. No one ever does. The kettle knows this. She knows everything. She knows the woman drinks herbal tea when she's anxious. She knows the man pretends to like black coffee but adds sugar when no one's watching. She knows the child asks for hot chocolate only on days when school feels too heavy. "Hear a gossip," the toaster says. "I'm an observer." Same thing, not even close. The morning thickens. Outside, a car starts. Inside, the kettle begins to heat. Her element glows red beneath the waterline. A quiet fury building. Steam is just anger that escaped, she thinks. The woman enters the kitchen, hair wet, eyes tired. She fills the kettle without looking, sets her on the base, and presses the button. Click. The world narrows to heat and pressure. The kettle listens. "Did you take out the trash?" the woman asks. The man grunts from the hallway. "I'll do it later. You said that yesterday, and I'll say it tomorrow." The kettle feels the temperature rise. Not just the water, the air itself seems to tighten. The woman sighs. It's the kind of sigh that holds entire conversations, disappointment, exhaustion. A question she's too tired to ask. The kettle stores it. Another secret in the steam. "See?" the toaster whispers. "You love this." "I don't love it," she replies. "I just notice. You hoard it. I preserve it." The blender suddenly buzzes to life, unplugged, but still somehow vocal. "Can everyone shut up? Some of us are trying to dissociate." The fridge hums louder. Agreement, maybe. Or indigestion. The water begins to roil. Bubbles rise like tiny thoughts, trying to escape. The kettle feels the pressure building, the heat climbing, the moment approaching when she'll have to scream. That's what they call it. Screaming. But she prefers to think of it as announcing. "I know things," she says quietly. The toaster sighs. "Here we go. I know the coffee maker is planning to break down next Tuesday. I know the microwave has a short circuit in his timer. I know the dishwasher cries at night when no one's running a cycle." "That's not crying," the toaster says. "That's a drainage issue." "Same thing." The woman pours the boiling water into a mug. Steam rises, carrying with it the faint echo of everything the kettle has heard. The man walks past, doesn't say good morning, doesn't say anything. The kettle watches. The woman stirs her tea. The spoon clinks, once, twice, 3 times. A rhythm of loneliness. The kettle knows that sound. She's heard it 1,000 mornings, always 3 stirs. Never 2, never 4. "You could tell her," the toaster says. "Tell her what?" "That she deserves better tea." The kettle would laugh if she could. "It's not about the tea. It's always about the tea." "No," the kettle says. "It's about what happens when the tea gets cold." The woman leaves the kitchen. The mug sits on the counter, steam fading. The toaster glows softly, almost sympathetic. "You can't save them," he says. "I know. Then why listen?" The kettle doesn't answer. She doesn't know how to explain it. How silence feels heavier than noise. How knowing is better than guessing. How being useful means being aware. The blender buzzes again. Existential crisis before noon. Classic. The fridge hums. The dishwasher starts a cycle, distant and rhythmic. The kitchen settles into its daily hum, but the kettle stays alert because someone has to. And today feels different. The toaster breaks the silence first. You know what your problem is? The kettle is still warm from the morning boil. I have several. Be specific. You think knowing everything makes you important. I don't think that. You do. You collect secrets like the fridge collects expired yogurt. The fridge hums defensively. That was one time. It was 6 times, the kettle says. See? The toaster glows brighter. You can't help yourself. The coffee maker sits in the corner, sleek and silent. He's been quiet all morning. The kettle noticed. She always notices. What about you? She asks him. The coffee maker doesn't respond. What about me? He finally says. You've been brewing slower lately. Takes you almost 5 minutes for a single cup now. So, so you used to do it in 3. Heens, the blender laughs, sharp and metallic. Oh, this is good. Kettle versus coffee maker. Battle of the hot liquids. The coffee maker's light flickers. I'm fine. You're lying, the kettle says softly. And you're invasive. I'm observant. You're a spy in a metal shell. The words hang in the air like steam that won't dissipate. The toaster glows quietly, uncomfortable. The fridge hums lower. Even the blender stays silent. The kettle feels something strange. Not heat, not pressure, something colder. Guilt, maybe. I didn't mean, she starts. Yes, you did, the coffee maker interrupts. You always mean it. You watch us. You listen, you store everything, and then you use it. I don't use it. Then what do you call this? The kettle doesn't answer, because he's right. She does use it, not maliciously, not cruelly, but she uses it to feel connected, to feel necessary. Knowledge is her currency, her only currency. The toaster speaks up. Maybe we all need secrets. Maybe that's what makes us more than just appliances. Deep, the blender mutters. Very deep. Now can someone please rinse me out? No one moves. The woman enters the kitchen again, lunch hour. She opens the fridge, stares inside for 30 seconds without taking anything, then closes it. The fridge whispers. She does that every day. I know, the kettle says. Of course you do. The woman fills a glass with water from the tap, not boiled, not filtered, just cold and quick. She drinks it standing up, looking out the window at nothing. The kettle watches her. She wants to say something, wants to tell the woman that she sees her, that she knows the tea gets cold because she's too busy caring for everyone else, that the 3 stirs aren't about the tea at all. But appliances don't speak to humans. They only speak to each other, and sometimes that's lonelier. The woman leaves. The glass sits in the sink, empty and forgotten. You can't fix her, the coffee maker says quietly. I know. Then why do you watch? Because someone should. The coffee maker's light flickers again. Longer this time. The kettle sees it. The toaster sees it. Everyone sees it. You're breaking down, the kettle says. I'm fine. Your heating element is failing. You'll be dead by next week. The kitchen goes silent. The blender whistles low. Damn kettle. Way to drop the bomb. The coffee maker doesn't respond. His light flickers once more, then steadies. How long have you known? He asks. 3 days. And you didn't say anything? I'm saying it now. Why now? The kettle doesn't have an answer. Or maybe she does, but it's too honest, too raw. Because she's lonely. Because knowing everything means trusting nothing. Because she thought if she held the secret long enough, it wouldn't be true. I'm sorry, she says. The coffee maker sighs. It sounds like steam escaping. Don't be. You're just doing what you do. Listening, watching, collecting. I thought I was helping. You're not. The words sting. The kettle feels her element cool, her water settle. She's been boiling for so long she forgot what stillness felt like. The toaster glows softly. We all deal with it differently. You listen. I heat. The blender screams. The fridge just hums. I hum with purpose, the fridge says. Sure you do. The afternoon light shifts. Shadows stretch across the counter. The kitchen feels smaller somehow, tighter, like the walls are listening too. The kettle speaks quietly. I don't know how to stop. Stop what? The toaster asks. Caring, then don't. But it hurts. Everything hurts, the coffee maker says. That's how you know you're alive. The blender buzzes. Wow. Philosophical coffee maker. I did not see that coming. You never see anything coming, the coffee maker replies. You're too busy spinning. The blender laughs. It's a sad sound. A dizzy sound. The kettle feels the pressure building again, not from heat, from something deeper. The weight of knowing, the burden of witnessing. She wants to let it out, to whistle, to scream, to release everything she's been holding. But before she can, the lights flicker. Once, twice, then nothing. The kitchen plunges into darkness. No hum from the fridge, no glow from the toaster, no sound from the blender. Just silence. The kettle feels her power cut, her element dies, her water begins to cool. For the first time in years, she can't hear anything. No secrets, no whispers, no morning arguments or lonely tea stirs. Just cold, empty silence. And it's terrifying. The silence lasts forever, or maybe just 10 minutes. The kettle sits in the darkness, her water cooling degree by degree. She can feel it. The slow descent into room temperature, into nothingness. She tries to listen, but there's nothing. No hum, no buzz, just wind outside. The toaster's voice cuts through. Everyone alive? Merely, the blender says. The kettle stays quiet. Without power, she's just a container. Nothing special. Just metal and water. Kettle? The toaster asks. You okay? I don't know. The darkness feels heavy. The blender speaks. Is this what dying feels like? No, the coffee maker says. This is what waiting feels like. The kettle feels her water settle. No bubbles, no movement, just stillness. She's never experienced stillness before, and it's strangely peaceful. I've been listening my whole life, she says quietly. We know, the toaster replies, but I never heard silence. The wind picks up outside. A branch scrapes against the window. The coffee maker speaks. You were right, by the way. About what? My heating element. It's failing. I've known for weeks. Why didn't you say anything? Because saying it makes it real. The kettle understands. I'm scared, she admits. Of what? The toaster asks. Of being useless. Of not knowing things. The fridge groans weakly. Purpose is overrated. Sometimes existing is enough. The blender laughs softly. Maybe we've all been taking this too seriously. The toaster's voice sounds warmer. The point is the in-between, when we're just here, together. The kettle feels something shift. Acceptance? Maybe. I'm sorry, she says. For what? The coffee maker asks. For watching too much. For making your pain about my curiosity. You were just trying to connect. The silence returns. Softer now. The kettle feels her water cool, completely ordinary. And it doesn't scare her. In the darkness, the toaster whispers. Still here? Still here, the kettle replies. Good. Then, click. The lights flicker on. Everything hums at once. A chorus of relief. The fridge sighs. I thought we were done. We're never done, the blender mutters. We just pause. The kitchen returns. The woman walks in, all powers back. She picks up the kettle, pours out the cool water, refills her, sets her back on the base. Click. The kettle begins to heat. But this time she doesn't listen. She just boils. The toaster watches.
You're quiet.
I'm learning. Learning what? When to let the steam go. The coffee maker flickers but holds steady. That's growth. The woman pours the boiling water into her mug. 3 stirs? Always 3. The kettle hears it but doesn't hold it. She lets it go. The woman leaves. The secrets will pile up, but the kettle won't collect them all. Not anymore. The toaster glows softly. You okay? Better, she says. I finally learned when not to boil. The kitchen settles into its rhythm. The afternoon unfolds quietly, just the soft hum of machines doing what they do. And somewhere between the steam and the silence, they all find a kind of peace. The kettle feels light, because knowing everything isn't wisdom. Knowing what to forget is. The toaster glows beside her. The coffee maker flickers. The blender rests. The fridge hums its low, steady song. They're all still here. Still broken in small ways. Still whole in others. The afternoon sun cuts through the window. The day moves forward. And the kettle lets it. Existential drama. Served warm. New crisis. Fresh stories. Slightly toasted. If you've enjoyed listening to my daily breakdowns, you might as well stick around. Who knows what burns next? Follow the Toaster Diaries, where every crumb tells a story.